Hello and welcome to episode 183 of my podcast all about knitting and crochet and my yarn shop here in Wiesbaden, Germany. I'm Kiko and today is April 24th, 2023. Today I'm wearing a shawl that I like very much. It was knit out of one ball of 100 Farbspiele, which means something like 100 color play. And it's, I think she was the first yarn dyer to do these color gradients in one ball. And this is a cotton acrylic mix. And I still think, even though there are many companies and many dyers doing these gradients, I still prefer her colors and colorways and her sense of colors. I think it's so beautiful, and I sometimes sell that yarn in my shop. And when I first talked to her about selling her yarn in my shop, she told me she wanted to give me one ball of yarn to try the yarn out so I could get a sense of what it's like. And after we talked a bit, she decided to send me this color, and I think it's amazing how well she was able to guess my taste after just talking to me for a little bit. And yeah, and then I ordered more of her yarn, and I have to order some of her yarn again soon. I only have like 2 balls left or something. The pattern is called Afternoon Tea, I think. It's a pattern on knitty.com, so it's a free pattern, and I think I changed it a little bit. I added some more pattern repeats of this second lace pattern because I still had yarn left and I wanted to use as much of the colors as possible. And the other change I made is that first of all, I put beads into the picos. I think they were not in the pattern, and then I put more picos into the picot bind off because I had enough beads. So I calculated how many picos I would get if I did the cast on as written, and I counted the beads and I calculated how many picos I could do. And I still love just the tiny little bit of sparkle on the lower edge. Yeah, and I'm really happy with this shawl. And I thought it goes with my dress because the turquoise is sort of the same, but there's just a hint of purple or pink in the dress, and I thought that goes with the shawl. And the dress I'm wearing is the Glacier, I think Glacier Sweep is the name of the pattern by Jorge Locatelli. It's in one of her books that she does together with Vera Velimäki. And Interpretations, I think it was Interpretations 5, that it's supposed to be a tunic, but I made it into a dress. And so the upper part is as per pattern, and then you're supposed to at some point stop doing the same that you did before, and then you're supposed to do some short rows so that you get a straight edge. But I did not do that, and I have to step onto my chair again. So I just kept knitting and kept increasing so that I get a long dress. And I did not knit the short rows so that my dress stops on the sides. It stops like here, but I have long points at the front and at the back. And I'm really happy with how that came out. And I used 5 different colorways by Opal. So down here, this I think was from the Energy series. Then this might have been a subscription abo colorway. And then this, I don't remember, could have been, maybe it was a rainforest color. Then I'm very sure that this color is Ice Cream, was the series Ice Cream. And this was Colors in Love, I'm pretty sure. So I just collected these balls of yarn because I like them. And then at some point I decided to use them together. And I'm really, really happy with that dress. I love wearing it. So I started with one color, then I did a bit of a mix of the first and second color, and then did the second color like here. And then I sort of mix the colors. There's what's the word? I sort of blended one color into the other. And then the third color, I finished the sleeves, and color 4 and 5 are only in the skirt part of my dress. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing today. Then on to finished objects. I have one finished object today, and it's probably no big surprise if you were following the Sock Madness. The fourth round of the Sock Madness this year started last week, Tuesday afternoon. So that was very good for me. So I was still in my shop. I had time to pick out yarn. And then Wednesday I had a day off, so I had time to knit. And then, but I still needed the whole of Thursday and most of Friday to knit my pair of socks. And then I was able to snatch the last spot on my team. So Friday night, our team had all the spots filled, and we were the fastest team again. The pattern for this round is called Squaring Off Socks by Shui Wu, who's on Ravelry Cow from Mars, which I think is so funny. And this is what the socks look like. So it's a 3-color pattern. We knew, when did the specs come out? I think, was it on Monday? I don't remember. Well, we knew we were going to need 3 different colors. And then at first when I saw the picture, I was pretty sure that this was going to be a pattern where you had to carry 3 different colors in one row, but we didn't. The pattern is written in a way that you mix stranded knitting and mosaic knitting. So we would knit 2 rounds in one color and slipping stitches at the same time. And then the next 2 rounds, we'd be using the other 2 colors at the same time. So it's stranded knitting, but we'd still be slipping stitches. So that's how we got all 3 colors into one round. This is what the sock looks like on the inside. So you see there's lots of strands from the stranded knitting, and they always like 2 strands going together because every pattern row was knit twice, and I haven't woven in any of the ends yet. And you can see I knit really big socks, so it's a 42-43 German shoe size. That's quite big, and they are very loose, and I probably should have used a smaller needle, but I didn't have one lying around, so I used the 2.75 millimeter needle that I love to work with. But as I tend to knit loosely with stranded color work, they just came out rather big and loose. But I am going to donate the socks to that organization who help women with cancer. And I know there are women with big feet, and I'm sure some women will be happy to receive these really warm socks and funny looking socks. So the pattern on the sole of the foot is again different. There are slip stitches, but only in the main color rounds, and the contrast color rounds are just stranded knitting. So that looks completely different to the pattern on the top of the foot and on the leg. But I think it's a really, really nice pattern, and it's amazing to see all the different color combinations from the people who are taking part in the Sock Madness. And I am really thinking about knitting that pattern again, but in my size. So I would go to the small size. This is size medium, and then when I knit the smaller size and use a thinner needle, I'm pretty sure I should be able to make them fit me. And I'd love to have these really warm and funny and beautiful socks. Yeah, so that's my finished object for today. As for works in progress, last week was a rather typical Sock Madness week, which means that there are 4 projects that I did not work on because of knitting on the socks for such a long time. But I did cast on one new project. So I thought I finished something, I can cast on something. It's another pair of socks, but you'll see that in a minute. But just so you know, I'm not showing the Meandersocks, and I'm not showing the pink lace socks because I might have added 1 or 2 rounds on the pink socks, but not enough to see a difference. And I also didn't touch the dinosaur skeleton cowl, and also the cashmere pullover. Unfortunately, I never got round to picking that up. But to show you the things that I did knit on or crochet on, I'll start with the socks that I did work on, and that's the Pattern Battle socks that I'm knitting out of this opal abo colorway, which is the designated colorway for the Pattern Battle. And I'm knitting another pair of lace socks from the new book that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. And I did not work on it a whole lot, but enough for the pattern to show up more clearly than last week. So it's sort of 3 repeats of that color, and they're offset. So here the motif repeats, and then the same motif is down here, and then the cables sort of are offset again. And the back of the sock is just a rib pattern. I really like having a rib pattern on the back of the sock to make it sit on the leg more snugly. Yeah, really happy with that. I know that the many colors in the yarn sort of obscure the pattern a little bit, but I don't mind. I enjoy the knitting, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to enjoy wearing the socks, so that's fine. Yeah, and then the only other socks that I'm going to show you are the new cast on, and I have finally cast on another pair of film reel socks. I've already knit maybe 5 pairs. I'm not quite sure, but there are a few more pairs in my future. So now I'm knitting the pair of socks that are for my nephew's girlfriend, and she chose this color, which is also my favorite color. And I finally started them. Haven't done too much yet. Oops, I've lost a few stitches. Let me quickly pick them up. And this is what I've done so far. So it's just the ribbing on the top of the leg, and then I started the first film reel, which is a really dark film. The yarn started, the dark part just started at the end of the ribbing, so I knew there was going to be a dark film, but that's okay. I'll probably make sure that the second sock will have a dark ribbing, so I'll have light films on the top of that leg. Yeah, but it's been a while since I knit the pattern, so I actually had to look at the pattern again. I wasn't quite sure how many rounds and stitches and stuff to do, but I remembered. So those are all the socks I can show you today. Then the other project that I knit with double pointed needles doesn't have double pointed needles in it at the moment, because it's the Mitts About You mitts out of the Sockermatician's new book, Double Knit Brioche. It's so the pattern is called Mitts About You, and it's double knit brioche in 2 colors. I'm using the Baby Alpaka by Hansa Farm, and then I did this syncopated pattern, meaning that the purl stitches turned into knit stitches and the knit stitches turned into purl stitches, so that the color that sort of lies on top changes. And I finished the first mitt. And I did the cast off that he mentions that he explains in his book. And so the cast on and the cast off were supposed to be the same. Then not really the same. And there's 2 reasons for it. One reason is that I started with a bigger needle when I started the mitt. So this is a bit looser than the cast off. But the main problem is that I made a mistake. So if you look closely, you can see that this last knit stitch, instead of being dark grey, is light grey. And if we look on this side, the last knit stitch on the inside is dark grey instead of light grey. So what you do with this cast off, you go round and you purl all the purl stitches, and then you cut the other color and you do this sewn bind off. And I know how to do that, because that's the same kind of bind off that I was doing for the dinosaur skeleton squares. But I was rather tired when I picked that up to do that, and I mix up the colors. So I used the wrong color to do the purl stitches, and then I used the other color to do the sewn bind off, and I was already into the sewn bind off when I realized my mistake, when I suddenly realized what's wrong with the colors. And I just didn't want to go back. If I'd gone back, I could have probably knit Well, I had already cut both yarns, so that's the main problem. That's why I didn't want to go back. I was worried that I probably have to, that my ends wouldn't be sufficient to do the opposite of what they did before. Not sure if that makes sense. I'm just calling this a design feature that I changed the colors on the cast off, and I'm still debating with myself whether to do the same for the second mitt or whether to do it right on the second one and have a bit of a difference there. I don't know yet. What I do know is that they are extremely soft and comfortable and warm. So this is what it looks like if you wear it not folded, but then I can fold this down so I can use my fingers. I could fold this up if I wanted to, if I had like a jacket or something on, or I could fold it down on top of my sleeve. So there's many things you can do. If you can pull it up, you can put the thumb just inside the mitt to keep it warm, and I think it's really, really funny. Can't wait to start the second one. Haven't had time to do the cast on because I still need the video for that. I think the cast off is a lot easier than the cast on, mainly because it's in the round. If it wasn't in the round, I could probably do it like that. But with doing it in the round, it was a bit more complicated, and it worked really well with the video, but I'm not comfortable with doing it without the video yet. So that's that. Then the next project I'm going to show you is the preview knit I'm doing for Yuki Knits, the hexagons that I'm knitting out of this rainbow colored yarn. And I only managed to knit one more hexie, haven't blocked it yet, haven't woven in the ends yet, but I think I love the way the colors come out differently with each of these hexies. So with this one, this one hardly has any yellow in it, and then this has the yellow sort of on the outside, this one even further outside, and this one has it in the middle. So yeah, really exciting, really interesting. Can't wait to do the other hexies, get them blocked, and then think about sewing them together. And as I said, I may have to sew some together just to finish the preview knit, the test knit. But then once I finish the whole thing, it'll be really exciting to arrange all the pieces. Yeah, so that's that. Then the cardigan I'm knitting a cardigan out of Noro Silk Garden Solo yarn, and I almost finished knitting the second to last ball of yarn that I have. That's all that's left, but I have finished all the decreases that I meant to do. So I'm at a point where I'm completely in pattern again with all my stitches, and for a while I was thinking about knitting a sort of ribbing or collar in the pattern, which would have been quite fun, and I could have, if I'd folded it over, it would still look interesting, but I think the neckline is still a tiny bit too wide. So I have decided to do 2 more rows with decreases, and then I'm sort of down to a rib pattern, because I will have knit and purl stitches, but I won't have enough stitches to do this full cable pattern, and then it should sit just a bit tighter to my neck, and then I will knit some ribbing, and I have more than enough yarn because I still have a full 50-gram ball of yarn. And then I will probably knit 2 centimeters of ribbing and then try it on and knit 2 more and try it on and do that jazz until I think it looks good. Unless I decide it doesn't look good and I need to either do more decreases or some increases or something. I don't know. It's just a bit of ribbing. There's not too many stitches up there, so I won't mind knitting something and maybe undoing it again. But most of the cardigan is done, and I'm really, really happy. I'm very happy with the size that it came out. Yeah, so nothing to complain about there. Just need to sew the 2 seams, weave in a million ends, and then do the ribbing at the neckline. So we'll see. Maybe I'll finish it this week. Maybe I won't. No idea. Probably depends on how often I have to unpick or undo the ribbing. If I get it right the first time, I might finish it. If not, probably not. So that's that. Then, yeah, the other garment I'm knitting is the Cashmere Pullover, and I already told you I didn't get round to knitting on that, but I knit on both the shawls. I knit on the Pierre shawl even before the pattern for the Sock Madness dropped, so that was a good thing. I told you last week that I started the last pattern in this shawl, and it's a sort of wavy pattern. There's a name for it. Is it shale pattern? I don't remember. Anyway, I did the 3 rows on top of the first lace round, and I did the second pattern round, and I added, I think, just 1 row on top. And if the cable wasn't in there, the shawl would now already start sort of forming waves. We can't really see with the needle in. I think it's quite interesting that the dark spots seem to sort of collect in some places, and then the light parts of the yarn collect in other places. I would have wished that they'd mix more. So this is what I have left of the first dark ball of yarn. So I'm thinking maybe when I add the second in, I can try and sort of mix it up a bit more, that I get some dark yarn here and light colored yarn here, and maybe when the number of stitches grows more, then maybe it'll mix more. I don't know, we'll see. It'll be beautiful either way. And the other shawl I started knitting after I finished my socks, and I managed to finish the wedge number 4, which is, this one. So now I have a lower edge of my shawl that is 4 edges wide, and I start at the 5th wedge. So the beginning of the wedge is always rather quick, so that wasn't a problem. And you can see I have enough stitches left to do 2 more wedges. Yeah, 2 more. And yeah, still very happy with how this is coming out. It's a very easy, simple knit. You never have too many stitches on the needle. Oops, that stitch marker opened up. Enjoy knitting it. Still quite a bit to do. Oh, by the way, I said that 100-gram ball of yarn was enough to do 2 wedges, and there was always a little bit left. So after I knit the first ball, I had a bit left. Now I have knit 2 more wedges, and I'm still on the second ball of yarn. Not a lot left, but yeah, I can still add a few stripes on this wedge, and then the third ball of yarn, I can finish this wedge, do the next one, and probably half of the last one. But even though I do have some leftover bits from both balls of yarn from when I changed from one wedge to the other, I'm pretty sure I'm going to need the 4th ball of yarn to finish the shawl. Yep, so that's the shawls. Then I'm going to show you my alpaca granny square. I was debating bringing it or not because I didn't even crochet a whole round. But I just love it so much. I thought I'll show you the partial round. Oh yeah, this is where I started. So I did the black one last, I think that I showed that already last time. And then I added the dark grey. So there's not a big difference. And I did that side and I did this side. Did the 3rd edge, and that's where I stopped. So just have to finish the 4th edge, and then I will have 1 more round. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure now that I'll do the 6 rounds that I had planned out to do. Or is it 5 now? No, it should be 6. And then I'm going to wash and block it just to see how big it is and then make a decision whether to go straight into the black edge or do some more grey rounds. We'll see about that. But this today is not the last project I'm showing you. Even though what I'm showing you now is not a proper project yet and it doesn't have a project page yet because it's basically a swatch. But it's a jacket formed swatch. So I crocheted this tiny little cardigan, and this is to announce the next, it's Crochet Along. I'm not even sure we've done a Crochet Along before, or if they've all been knit alongs. But I did the one knit along for the dishcloths, and there you were able to knit or crochet. So it's basically a make along for dishcloths. But now this is going to be a crochet along, and we are going to crochet these cardigans that are crocheted in the granny square pattern, but it's a granny hexie. So you crochet hexagons, and a hexagon, it's difficult to show, but this part was a hexagon, and then you fold the hexagon and it becomes a sleeve and half a back and one front. And there is a pattern, I think there are several patterns around the internet to show how to do that kind of cardigan. There's one called the Horizon cardigan by Hobby. It's a free pattern, and that's sort of loosely what I based this on. I did some things a bit different than in the pattern. I did film a tutorial on how to crochet this, but my husband hasn't been able to work on it yet. And I thought we could officially start the crochet along next week on the 1st of May. And then I will also make another video next Monday. But then the next 2 Mondays, I'll be on holiday, so I won't be able to make a video. So on the 8th of May, I will release the tutorial video how to crochet this. It's really simple. Most of you will be able to do it like that, but just in case you need a little bit of help or you want to see what I do different from the video, you can have a look. Yeah, so on the 8th of May, there will be the tutorial for this cardigan, and then the Monday next, there won't be a video just because I'm on holiday, and then the Monday after that, I'm going to show you what I worked on during my holidays. Yeah, and I made a small one, not only that I could show you, that I could use it on the video, but I decided to give it to my little doll that sort of looks like me when I had longer hair and used to wear it up. And I was very happy this morning when I tried the jacket on that it actually fits her. So this is what the cardigan looks like on her. Then I did the 2 fronts differently. So one front I completely crocheted to the back, and because she has very little neck, it would have been okay to do the same on the other side. So the back is actually 3 rows wider than the 2 fronts, but humans tend to have a bigger neck compared to the rest of the body, so I showed how not to crochet the whole front to the back on this side. So you can choose, if you just add more rows to the back, you can completely attach the front to the back and then wear it like an open cardigan, or you can have less of a difference between fronts and back, and then you just don't attach the whole front to the back and it can sort of fall open like that. So both is possible. And it's also possible when you start crocheting the hexagon, the sleeve, the front and the back will grow at the same rate. And then at some point I stopped adding stitches or rows to the sleeve and only added stitches to the front and back. And then you attach the 2 pieces together, and after that you can still lengthen the arms and you can lengthen the front and back if you want to. I didn't have to do it for her because it was long enough for her. And the yarn I used are 2 colorways of opals rainforest colorways, and the colorways I used are, this is out of the 17th rainforest series, and I used that to do the first 5 rounds of each hexagon. And this is a colorway out of the 18th series of rainforest, and I used that to do the extra rows for the front and back. I used it to crochet the sleeves together and also to crochet the backs together. And I used the 4-ply yarn for her, and I'm going to use the 6-ply yarn for myself. So it's the same colors, but mine is a bit thicker, so it'll be a bit bigger and a bit faster. And I will probably knit myself socks from the leftover yarn from this little cardigan. And ever since I got this series, I just loved the combination of those 2 colors. So to have the red with the little blue and the blue with the little red, I think they look so nice together, and I've always wanted to do something with them. So I'm really happy to, that I'm going to crochet this cardigan out of those 2 colorways. Yeah, so that's everything I knit and crocheted last week. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!